is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon. We begin with breaking news today. Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos is stepping down. In a letter to Amazon employees, he says he'll be transitioning to chair the company's executive board. Amazon Web Services CEO Andy Jassy will replace Bezos in the third quarter this year, which begins in late summer. Here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. A suspect in a Fargo shooting is still on the loose. The shooting happened at the Arbors apartment complex. 21-year-old Oliver Ty has been charged with attempted murder along with other crimes in connection with the January 24th shooting. If you have any information on Ty's whereabouts, call police immediately. He is considered armed and dangerous, so officers are urging you not to approach him. The search continues for a missing elderly man from the Devil's Lake area. Police issued a silver alert last night for 76-year-old Thomas Townsend. He was last seen on the north side of Devil's Lake yesterday morning around 9. He's 6 feet tall, 205 pounds with blue eyes and gray hair. He was wearing a gray sweatshirt, black jacket and jeans and is believed to be driving a 1998 brown or copper-colored Chevy extended cab with North Dakota license plate 863AKJ. If you spot this man or his pickup, call 911 or your local law enforcement. State troopers say alcohol was a factor in a head-on crash that killed one woman and critically injured another near Walker, Minnesota. They say 39-year-old Corey Worry of Walker had been drinking when he tried passing a car on Highway 2 yesterday afternoon, hitting an SUV coming the other direction. The woman in that vehicle was killed. She was 53-year-old Virginia Stewart of Longville, Minnesota. A passenger in Worry's pickup was thrown from the vehicle and is hospitalized with life-threatening injuries. Worry was not seriously hurt. Coronavirus vaccines will be available at a limited number of pharmacies beginning next week. A White House COVID-19 response coordinator says 1 million doses will be shipped to 6,500 stores beginning February 11th. He says the initial limited sites will be selected based on their ability to reach those most at risk for severe disease, including socially vulnerable communities. Now here's a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much. Good evening, everyone. As we head into our Tuesday night, more of the same, gray skies and unpleasant conditions, but it's time to dig out those long johns because we have some mighty cold air to talk about, and some of us may have some shovel trouble before things are all said and done. Here is a look at visibilities. Just fine. Northern Valley and parts of Minnesota. Alexandria, a little bit of a reduction there. Not as bad as yesterday for our western counties, but still some reduced visibilities in that direction. So tonight, some soupy air still exists with temperatures for all in the 20s with the exception of you in Wadena where it's 19 degrees right now. In Fargo, I expect a breezy evening. Those south winds keeping us milder, and I expect temperatures steady under cloudy skies. Patchy areas of dense fog possible, mainly to the west. Grand Forks similarly, mid-20s, clouds and a brisk south wind. Tomorrow things change. Your Wednesday forecast includes snow into Thursday. We'll time that all out, and you can stay ahead of the latest by scanning this QR code right here and making sure you have that Valley News Live weather app downloaded on your phone. Find out where you can follow us to keep ahead of the information. I'll have hour-by-hour details on all of that, Stacy, in just a couple of moments.
And if your long underwear look like the ones you just saw, maybe today would be a day to start the thawing process.
Exactly. Don't put them on the clothesline.
Yeah. Thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
Moorhead police are asking for help in finding 2 stolen snowmobiles on a trailer. They were stolen from a parking lot in the area of 8th Street South and 30th Avenue South over the weekend. Anyone with information is asked to call the Moorhead Police Department.
Very depressing. There was nobody.
A 22-mile ice road is bringing life back to the northwest angle after COVID-19 caused a shutdown to the U.S.-Canadian border. Hear from those willing to pay hundreds of dollars to be able to use the road tonight on Valley News Live at 6. The COVID vaccine rollout continues here in Fargo as Fargo Cass Public Health, Essentia, and Sanford move into their new joint vaccination center. Sanford's vice president gave us an update today. Dr. Griffin says Sanford has received more than 400 doses this week. They're expecting much more next week, between 1,300 and 1,400. Sanford sent about 500 shots to Minnesota counties last week, but the hospital says it varies week to week. Sanford is giving out the shots on a 3-week rotation. one for long-term care, 1 week for hospitals, and 1 for pharmacies. The CDC released new data showing people of color are being vaccinated at disproportionate rates when it comes to Stanford's vaccines. Dr. Griffin says no one is excluded when it's their turn to get the shot.
I'm aware of. And I would be disappointed if that was at all the case. That is not in any of the algorithms or risk factors to exclude or do differently theirs.
Dr. Griffin says he hopes the Johnson & Johnson vaccine will be considered for emergency use authorization. If it is, he's expecting it to be here by March. He adds not to worry if you miss your vaccine appointment. You can reschedule with Stanford as long as the vaccine is available. Minnesota is ramping up COVID vaccinations. The state's vaccine rollout got off to a rocky start with hundreds of thousands of seniors left in the lurch, wondering how they'll get their shot. The state is now giving out double the shots it was last week. It also launched a statewide vaccine finder to connect Minnesotans with clinics who can get them the shot. Governor Tim Walz announced an additional 35,000 doses will be made available for seniors this week. The Department of Health says nearly 450,000 Minnesotans have gotten at least 1 dose of the vaccine. Pfizer has announced its plans to deliver 200 million doses of its COVID vaccine to the U.S. sooner than expected. The company now says the doses will be ready in May instead of its initial projection of July. Pfizer also said it can potentially deliver 2 billion doses across the globe this year. Officials say they are prepared to respond if evidence shows new variants of the virus are resistant to their vaccine. 29 million doses of the vaccine have been delivered to the U.S. 17 million of those have been administered. President Biden is trying to gain support for his $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package, but congressional Democrats are taking steps to pass the bill on their own if the bipartisan effort falls short. Natalie Brand has details from the White House.
Democratic leaders have now introduced budget resolutions in the House and Senate, paving the way for them to potentially pass President Biden's coronavirus relief package without support from Senate Republicans.
We are not going to dilute, dither, or delay. The needs of the American people are so demanding. We need to think big, and we need to act quickly.
In an effort to negotiate with Republicans, the president spent 2 hours talking to a group of GOP senators who have a counterproposal a third of the size of the administration's $1.9 trillion plan.
I wouldn't say that we came together on a package tonight. No one expected that in a 2-hour meeting. But what we did agree to do is to follow up and talk further.
Both sides acknowledge there are areas of common ground, but the White House press secretary says the president will not settle for a package that fails to meet the moment. Both the administration and Republican proposals include $160 billion for COVID vaccinations and testing. But on unemployment insurance, the White House wants $400 a week through September, while Republicans want $300 a week through June. The White House wants $1,400 stimulus checks for most Americans, with Republicans proposing $1,000 for people in lower income brackets.
It's more rhetoric to say that, oh my gosh, the house is on fire, when in reality, if you look at what the data is from the Fed, the families are doing pretty well based upon what we've already done.
Senator Bill Cassidy points out that all 5 previous relief packages have passed with bipartisan support, adding up to nearly $3.5 trillion in aid. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Another major sticking point is how much money, if any, Congress should appropriate for state and local governments. The president's proposal includes $350 billion, while the GOP plan has none. If you're looking to stay on top of the latest vaccine information, get our new VNL vaccine tracker. You can access national and local resources in just 2 easy steps. Just open your phone camera and point it at the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up. 6 more weeks of winter. That's the prediction from Punxsutawney Phil. Phil and his inner circle delivered the 135th prediction virtually this year without the usual crowd in Pennsylvania. Organizers still made the annual celebration fun by piping in traditional crowd noise and even including cardboard cutouts of fans.
Our tradition of Groundhog Day must endure. We have all passed through the darkness of night, but now see hope in morning's bright light. But now, when I turn to see, there's a perfect shadow cast of me. 6 more weeks of winter there will be.
While the prediction may be gloomy, the inner circle says this too shall pass. Still to come on Valley News Live at 4, a new body cam policy means changes for Minneapolis police.
Skies and gray conditions across the valley as we headed through our Tuesday today with mild temperatures. Our weather becomes a little wild. First alert weather days are in effect for Wednesday and Thursday and the weekend ahead as well. Details in your forecast are straight ahead.